Fuck! Fuck me!
Oh, what a stud! I can't get enough of you, Jux. Let me tie you to the bed, baby.
Fuck this.
Fuck. Fuck. Did you see this? Look at this.
Atomic Heart is a first-person shooter developed by Moonfish and published by Focus Entertainment and 4Divinity. The game takes place in Facility 3826 in alternate 1955, where the Soviet Union gained the upper hand early on due to their technological enhancements pre-World War II. You play as Agent P3, a World War II veteran who does not remember his life, with the exception of the last 2 years, and follows the facility leader, Dr. Sunshinov, with utter devotion. He works with a sentient AI polymer gloved named Charles, who is his companion as you battle forces ranging from robots to mutated corpses. Charles being the avenue of powers that you can gain, ranging from telekinesis to using polymer goo to enhance elemental damage. Aside from trying to discover the cause of the entire facility's robotic staff turning homicidal, you can explore a decently sized open world for upgrade parts to the myriad of weapons you discover throughout the game. Note, the weapons are not handed outright. Rather, they are blueprints that you craft with parts you can get from checking chests and desks in various buildings, to taking from enemy remains. Another thing to note is that finding the blueprints for weapons and health capsules, save for the basics that at the beginning of the game, are completely RNG, and only the weapon part upgrades are rigid in where they are found. You can augment your weapons by completing testing grounds, which are facilities you often have to use environmental means to gain access to. They all have 3 puzzles that you have to solve, ranging from using magnets on the ceiling to raise or lower platforms, to turning entire sections of the rooms to make a path to your end goal. At launch, you had to go into the testing grounds to see which parts you could find, but after a decently sized update on February 27th, they added an overlay that showed which part was at each testing ground. Nora machines, often paired with the save stations that are the only manual way to save your progress, are your way to upgrade your weapons and polymer abilities. Facility 3826 is absolutely amazing to look at. The varying facility buildings and towering statues displaying the glory and wealth of the USSR has accrued in this divergent timeline world. It is extremely reminiscent of a mix between BioShock and Wolfenstein, so if you're a fan of either of those franchises, I think you'll enjoy the aesthetic of this world and its enemies. They are also not afraid to make things look downright bizarre, with certain areas I will not spoil looking right out of Alice in Wonderland, as well as many of the cutscenes having some interesting moments that really make you double check that yes, you just saw that, especially in regards to the ballerina twins. My main gripe is that once you surface after a decently lengthy tutorial section underground, traversal is problematic almost immediately. Robots are everywhere, and while you can use cars dotted around the landscape, they take about 2 to 3 hits before they blow up, and it is an instant death. While you might think fighting the robots is the answer, there are repair drones that fix up whatever you destroy within minutes, so unless you've got a decently upgraded weapon, you're in trouble. While you can use Hawk observational stations to temporarily render robots in a shutdown mode within a certain area, that can make a testing ground unavailable for up to an hour in real time, as the game needs time to fix the area. While I enjoyed the combat, some of which has areas you can just go to ham in the beat of badass music, it definitely needs some work. In multiple rooms, you can get caught in corners, oftentimes for no reason, which allows enemy to dogpile on you and can kill you within a few hits. This seems to be a common issue from what I noticed, but I'm sure with a future patch it won't be such an obstacle and allow you to kill with abandon. My other gripe with the combat is the melee seems clunky in tight quarters, but the guns are more of a problem with the faster enemies, where it feels like you're hitting nothing and wasting precious ammo that you burn through within seconds. With tweaks, I'm sure these issues can be ironed out, as there's no better part of this game than blasting and chopping through hordes to music reminiscent of Doom. To note, as I streamed this, I set the music to streamer safe mode, but regardless, I enjoyed every single song I heard. Speaking of the music, my biggest issue with this game, on a personal note, even after the February 27th update, is the audio needs some major reworking.
What was that?
P3 and Charles will often talk over each other while radio broadcast advertisements, cartoons on TVs that are dotted around the landscape, robots that speak are all at full blast at the same time. Most games will usually lower background audio, but for this game, it's at full blast at all times, so sometimes you will miss entire conversations if you're not reading the subtitles. Before the first update, there are voices you can hear in this polymeric goo that you can swim through that were practically muted, and a lot of the outer world radios were hard to hear over the loud machine walking noises. Now, you can hear both clearly after the update, but it can still be too much or drowned out entirely when you have P3 and Charles going at it. Speaking of our two main characters, while P3 can have some fun comments during combat, or can really make you feel his pain and confusion during the serious moments, there's a lot of dialogue I would consider a bit cringe. There's a lot of the F word being thrown around, humor that reminds me a lot of Thor Ragnarok in the childish manner, that takes up a lot of the dialogue before it gets serious closer and closer to the game's end. There are some instances where dialogue can end abruptly, usually when you've exhausted the few times that you have access to a dialogue wheel, and it can be really immersion breaking at the rapid voice changes. All in all, I think this was a fun game to experience. Moonfish clearly put a lot of heart into the game, and despite the controversy surrounding the game due to current events, I think as a whole they did as well as they could. I enjoyed a lot of parts of it, and I definitely recommend finding the soundtrack and putting it on repeat, as it had some absolute bangers. Overall, as of its current state, I would give the game a solid 6 out of 10, leaning close to a solid 7. If they can balance the audio, rework some of the combat, and add simple things like being able to see your controller mapping or a tutorial, as neither of those things are in the game, I can definitely see this game rising to an 8. And with future DLC coming, this may happen. But what did you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Some people may have enjoyed this game more than I did, some may not. All views are welcome. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next review.